I won't do that the whole time. I'm gonna crush you. Oh
Stop.
my God, no. Okay, guys, no, but for real, this is my first in-person interview in like a million years, and I'm so excited. Is the lighting good? Like, are we decent? Should I move it closer?
I think we look really good.
Okay, I mean, obviously, like naturally, but oh my God, hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm just gonna hold you like this.
That's
the whole
just
time.
fine.
I'm just kidding. No, you guys, you don't know Marcus, so like, let me actually like introduce him. But this is Marcus Hamblin, and we're gonna have a very like, just incredible discussion today because he has a lot of stuff to share with us, okay?
She's too kind.
Oh my God. Well, like, yes, also that, but no, I'm just kidding. No, but Marcus is in the stages of creating a space that now is going from online to brick and mortar. And he has this wonderful business that I wanted him to, you know, tell us about and expose you guys to so you can go support his business. So I will let him do a little bit more of the introduction and tell you about his business, and then we're going to hear all about it. Okay. So that's
Lovely.
it. Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, I'm excited to chat with you.
Yes. Yes.
As friends, but also on camera.
Yes. Thank you for like letting me siphon you and be like,
of course,
come on my show
that's
and hang
exciting.
out.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
So
yeah.
Tell us about your company because I
yeah.
just like gave a teaser, but like that was boring. That was nothing else.
I love it. Yeah. So again, I'm Marcus. My business partner is Sarah, and I at this point, 7 years ago. Had this idea of creating a space where people could shop for their homes, you know, in a different way. A space that was more authentic, that, you know, had products made by real people. You know, there are so many makers of, you know, dishware and ceramics and, you know, textiles and things, but those are not really accessible to people in mass. So, you know, we, again, took over like 6 or 7 years, really kind of formed this idea for a company we're calling Flourish Foundry. And like I said, the premise is that, you know, the products for your home are all made by, you know, real people. They're made with, you know, low impact on the environment in mind. They're ethically sourced. You know, a lot of our makers are women-owned companies, Black-owned companies. You know, and we just really want to create an ecosystem where what we're sourcing is purposeful, it's real, it's no bullshit, you know.
Even better, we love no bullshit, guys, except for I talk bullshit all the time on here, but yes. Well, I'm like staring at you. You're good about like looking at the camera and I'm like, tell me more. Like, I love this. Okay, no, but for real,
so,
yes.
There's, I mean, you know, and also because we're nerds, like, you know, over the years we did some focus groups and we really kind of tried to learn about our customer, which in a lot of ways is ourselves and our friends. But
yes.
You know, what we found is that in addition to people, especially millennials, and, you know, also people that start to get to a place in their life where they want to settle down in a, you know, really nice, beautiful home, it's difficult. There's a lot of research that goes into trying to find authentic products. Our generation really cares about the environment, you know, cares about people. And, you know, I've had people tell me that they will search for months to like find the right dishware or pillows or whatever because they.
First of all, that disrespectful.
Oh yeah, we're gonna honking up and down the street here.
The rudeness. I'm like, don't they know we're in the middle of recording? Like, how dare you? Okay.
The best was like during client presentations when I was working from home was that.
So you're like, here's my whole project and presentation for you, and then yes, people are gonna yes. Sorry, I'm like, okay. But it does take a lot of research, and I think for you, you're collecting all the research and you're sourcing these places that it's easy one-stop shop for people, which is fantastic.
That's the whole point.
So, Marcus, tell us a little bit about, like, so you had mentioned Sarah. She's a co-founder with you. How do you know her? We don't have her here, and hello, Sarah, if you're watching this. I hopefully will get to meet you soon, but how do you guys know each other, and then how did you come up with the idea collectively to start Flourish Foundry?
So I kind of moved to Boston and to further kind of finish my interior design degree in 2010 and went to the Boston Architectural College and met Sarah kind of this summer after my first semester.
Okay.
You know, she's from the New England area and, you know, decided in that crazy time of 2008 to 2010, shake things up, make a career change and go get her master's degree in interior design. So we studied together at the BAC, which is a kind of a cool, you know, it's right on Newbury Street in Boston, but it's a really cool experience because it's a very kind of scrappy place. You have to do a lot of the obviously work on your own. It's design in the city so that the city becomes your campus. And so we spent a lot of time working together in coffee shops and like, waking up really early and bringing our computers to Starbucks and, before school would open. And, but so we just really have a great working chemistry and friendship that has existed since we were in school. We've actually worked at a couple different jobs together. But we really always, even before the idea of Flourish Foundry came to life, we always thought that we would work great together owning our own business.
And that's important because like everybody
Yeah.
has an idea. Like I remember in college, a friend of mine was like, Katie, oh my goodness, we need to like have our own jewelry business and we need to like, rule the world and I'll do this part of the business and you'll do this. Keep in mind, she's drunk and we're at a college party, like a whole house
There's
party.
a lot of great ideas at college parties
Yes,
that may
and
or
I'm
may
like-
not ever come to
And
life
clearly,
or should not.
yes, also that.
Yeah.
But I was like, we're sitting here like talking about a whole jewelry company that we are going to found as we're like, I was a junior, she was a sophomore in college, and clearly that's 16 years removed and that has never like actually become a thing. But the fact that you and Sarah were like, we're gonna dream about it, we're gonna execute it, and we're gonna like enjoy the whole ride together. And the fact that you guys have made it successful to this point goes to show that you guys are like great working together because not everybody can also find a great business partner
Sure.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and something we've found, which actually will lead me to answer your question of how we came up with the idea, is that we, will often, finish each other's sentences and like are really complementary, but we also have very distinct, different ways of approaching things as well. I tend to be a little loftier, a little bit more. I need to step back and sort of look at all the puzzle pieces. I kind of visualize things as a designer in like map format. And then Sarah can kind of swoop in and take all that kind of crazy vision and kind of define it and put a list together, coordinate it, and create a beautiful website, or create a great way of managing our inventory or whatever else. And that like distinct difference, I think, is what's continuing to motivate us to know that we'll be successful, because we think a lot alike,
You're balancing the
but there's
scale.
balance. Yes. And I think that really important. If we were two identical people that we just thought the same way and did all the same things, we would just be we'd be hanging out. We'd be hanging out.
But you'd have
That's
no
it.
business. You're like, I love this and I love this and this is beautiful and we could do this, but like nothing would actually like come together to actually create a business and have a business plan and understand like profit and loss and what you're going to be doing. So that's incredible. So how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, so that even took a long time. I mean, so when
Have
we
you changed it multiple times?
Yeah,
or has it always
so
been
we've changed
Foundry?
it
Okay.
once. So we initially, again, we knew we wanted this like space to buy goods in a different way. It kind of started out initially as more of a subscription-based service idea, like a trunk club or like other ways you might subscribe to makeup or clothing or whatever else. And then that evolved more recently, kind of during the pandemic, when we realized that the brick and mortar and sort of that experience was actually really important specifically to the home goods market. But we initially started out, I think the name was Newberry & Co. because we went to school on Newberry Street. Kind of was this special place where we had a lot of crazy fun ideas in school and beyond. And then somehow I think we found out that name was taken or something.
Really?
I know, I forget.
And
I mean,
like the Newberry Hotel just opened and you're like, we don't want affiliation. Yes.
But I think like that iterative process of thinking about the name and like the logo and all of that stuff, even though it really took us a long time to get to where we're at now, like we both worked full time and had sort of other aspects of our lives. She's married with kids, whatever. But that iteration, I think, led us to a really good, solid place. And what led us to the name was understanding that, your home is your place for solitude and quiet, but it's also like where you can flourish and where you can cry and where you like have people over and hang out, and that's fun. And it's sort of this array, or it supports an array of emotions and like growth. And so we knew that, so that led us to the word flourish. We feel like your home, if it's designed and decorated and full of things that matter, is a place where you can flourish. And then, to reference the idea of filling your home with authentic, real things made by real people, we kind of started to look at what that meant, like in making things, and that led us to the word foundry, which is literally a place where like you weld metals and like molten in order to make things, but it's kind of this like reference of a very raw like process, and so you have this like beauty in flourishing and this rawness in foundry, and that juxtaposition just really made a lot of sense. It also like looks beautiful like in like together as words, but that juxtaposition is really important. We're like unapologetically beautiful, but also raw and imperfect, and all about the process of our makers and of how we do things as well.
Yes, I love that. And it really stands behind the product itself that you're selling, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but just like the product you sell is just as important as your name and your branding and the colors of your branding. And so who does it? Because you both are artistic in a sense, but like who came up with, the colors? Because I've seen that like blue is very prominent, on your branding, on your Instagram page, and or like, what font you choose. Like who got down to that? Like do you guys collectively do this, or you're like, I'm gonna own this?
It's pretty collective. I think what we would do is, we really referenced, again, Sarah does have more of a graphic training, so at the end of the day, she's really the one executing a lot of the logo and our icon and sort of our graphic standards at the end of the day. But what we would do is we would reference our interior design experience, which is very scrappy. So we would actually literally take trace paper and like sketch, and would come up with a lot of ideas sort of together, and then Sarah would take them back, and use all of her Adobe suite to really create, again, that iteration of logos and things, and then to create what it is today.
I love that. Yeah, because you're both creatives, so you're like,
But again, we kind of approach things differently. So like, again, I'm like sort of drawing all these doodles and sketches, and we're like kind of hashing it out together, and then she then takes the chaos and like makes it something real.
I love that. Now, do you still have those sketches?
Somewhere.
I need you to like frame them, or
I think Sarah actually has some photos of them. They're in our Google Drive somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
Because I was gonna say, or like if you have a table with the glass top to put them underneath, and just like pay homage to like
we
where
have them
you
somewhere.
started.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that would be like a nice way to be like, this is literally how we started all the way to here. So, which is incredible. So, but we keep talking about all these different brands and all of this stuff. Talk to me of like what you were physically selling in this space, and then like how you found these vendors, and like how they resonate with your moral compass essentially of your brand.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about earlier, it took a lot of research, literally years and years of research. Luckily we have the internet, we have Instagram, and like once you Google like authentically made plates, the algorithm then sort of feeds you more and more. However, as we all know, maybe you're more of an expert than I am of how like the algorithms and all of that works, you can't necessarily rely on that. So we just done years and years of vetting, and then also reaching out to the different makers and actually trying to build relationships. And I think something we realized is that we're going to launch this business, and it's not going to be perfect. We're going to sell things that we've vetted as best we can, but again, most of these makers are smaller, or they're companies that are sort of on a pathway towards their ultimate sustainability goals, or they've sort of started off small and they're expanding and evolving and changing. So we're kind of here for that, because we feel like you don't need to have the same matching plates as your neighbor. Like you could have something different from the same maker that's created later or whatever. But we're really selling all things for your home. We're starting off with kind of all of the goods that you might see on the shelves at a department store or like a home goods store. So, we're really excited. I'll mention just a few makers that we've started to build relationships with. We have this incredible company out of Philadelphia called Felt and Fat. They do.
What'd you just call me?
Stop. But actually, we kind of were like obsessed with the name.
Yes.
We're like felt and fat.
You're like, and you tell us how you got your name.
I know.
Yes.
We actually haven't had that conversation yet, but we will, I'm sure.
But you're two F and F names.
I know.
So you're like, how'd you get F and F?
Yeah.
And we have F and F.
And Sarah has her personality in particular. She's hilarious. So I think she kind of had those back and forth conversations with them mostly. But what we love about them is they're like glazes they use are just like so vibrant and like so beautiful, but also just like really approachable. Like I don't know, in their colors and the way they way they actually make their products. But something that's also really important to them, they actually hire formerly incarcerated folks and help kind of bring them back into society by hiring them and sort of helping them develop skills in their factory.
That's incredible.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
And again, just like really beautiful product.
I love that. Well, having family members that have formerly been incarcerated, that's really important to me because you don't really have a stepping stone to get back into the real world and to have the resources and the support system and to do all of that. So for companies that are so open to being like, yes, we're going to give you this chance. Yes, we're going to educate you to create beautiful things and to thrive in the workplace. Not a lot of places do that. So, or it's very limited, like a Home Depot or, certain things. And even still, you're not even guaranteed because, so it's nice that they're willing to open their doors to support people.
And I think what's unique is they're a smaller company, so they have the agility to be supportive.
Write the rules, too.
To write the rules and to evolve, I would imagine. It's a little difficult if it's a bigger corporation. So we're really inspired by them and we're really excited to kind of bring them to the Boston market. Another brand we're working with, we actually received a shipment of their candles yesterday. It's this woman named Maya. She lives on the West Coast and her company is called Predominantly Black Candle House. And she, hand makes all of her candles and other kind of like beauty products and scrubs and lotions and things like that. We're focusing on her candles because we're selling things for the home. But we just first of all, we love all of the names of her candles. They're just very unique and so there's inherently kind of this quirky aspect of her brand that feels it's just fun and approachable. We won't tell you the names yet because you'll have to check out our website when we launch soon.
Absolutely.
So much fun.
We can't give them all the spoilers.
No, can't give all the spoilers, but it's super cool. But she's, again, this has been really fun to build a relationship with her. Yeah. We're intentionally supporting a Black woman entrepreneur, but also we're not just doing that because that's her identity. We're doing this also because she's willing to build a relationship with us and support us. And, as we're kind of side by side building our own businesses. And so, but also just, we're excited that she's doing something unique and we're, she's not really in this market. So it's going to be really fun to bring, the product to our peoples.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important, which we didn't talk about. It is mentioned on their website. But Flourish Foundry is literally an LGBTQ plus and women-owned business. So to have that combination of creating a space where people can feel welcomed because they see the business owners are part of a community that maybe they're a part of, and then also giving opportunity to other groups, I think is really special to highlight because she is a Black woman-owned business that is partnering with you guys. So twofold, you're collectively supporting each other. And I think that's really nice because you don't always have those spaces open to be working with people.
Totally.
So,
100%.
Yep.
And I'll mention one other brand that we're going to be selling their textiles. So meaning, hand towels and cloth napkins for fancy dinners or every day.
Hair flip, yes. Yeah, why do you have to wait for fancy moments?
Exactly. So that's actually what we're going to do. Is we're no, you should do these things all the time. Throws for the sofa, throws to, take to the beach as a beach towel. But, their products, so they're, again, a women-owned company, and they work with women across the world to kind of develop their skills and then their kind of expertise in the textile industry, and then they bring those products kind of direct to trade, and then trade can then sell to the retail market. But when we receive the shipment of these throws that we'll be selling, they're so soft, but they're also machine washable and dryable. So they're soft and beautiful and handmade, but they're not overly precious either.
But you're also curating a whole entire collection that's not only beautiful and, like you mentioned, ethically sourced. You're getting things that are usable, and you don't feel like you're living in a museum. You're like, yes, you can throw the throw on top of here, and you can sleep on it and have the dog sit on it, and then just throw it in the wash when the dog sits on it. And then you're like, I said sits, not shits, because that's a whole different story. You know, because I'm like, I would then probably throw it out. But no, you know, just having things like that are useful every day, but it's still something special. And like, you know, it's totally unrelated, but I bought this perfume when I was in Miami in December. And I was like, this is so great. I know it was a small bottle, and I probably used most of it, like, when I was in Miami. Because I'm like, I'm addicted. Like, do this, right? And I've had just a little bit of it left. Cannot find it anywhere else. Like, have searched high and low. Have gone to multiple locations. Gone online. Cannot find it anywhere. It really is nothing that is, like, even expensive. It's $24 from Urban Outfitters, right? And I was just like, it's a different scent, and when's the last time I've been to an Urban Outfitters? I'm gonna get this, right? I have been, like, for months, I went to Miami in December, so for months now, I've been just having a little bit of it, right? And I was like, what am I doing? It's sitting here waiting for a special occasion for this $24. So I ended up putting it on, and I wore it to work the other day, and I'm literally getting in the elevator, and this woman goes, what is your fragrance? I just walked behind you. You smell so good. I love this. And that reinforces me to be like, I don't have to wait for special occasions to enjoy something. This is a fragrance. Again, it was $24. It's not like I'm, you know, putting pure gold onto my skin.
Totally.
I'm going to use it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to appreciate it. And, you know, that's something that it's like you can have beautiful things in your home and enjoy them every day. But it's an investment, you know? So I think your price point, while it might be elevated to some people, and you know, I don't even know your price points, and some people are like, oh, this is an absolute bargain. You know, you're getting things that are going to be timeless, long lasting, with purpose, something that can be enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you want to invest in those things. You can go to IKEA, Home Goods all day long and get things, but like, is the quality going to stand behind it over time versus like what you're actually, like you said, doing the research and bringing the product in. So enjoy those cloth napkins every day.
Every day.
Do not wait for a fancy event at your home. So
and you referenced something I think that's really important to us is, of course, your home, while it should be beautiful and like a space where you are proud of it, if it's overly precious, then you don't use it.
Exactly.
So we're like scrapping that whole idea. Sure, there are like trends and themes and you know, things that might influence, you know, how you buy things for your home and how it evolves over time. But we really want to concentrate on helping customers feel confident in what they purchase and that it supports their lifestyle.
Yes.
Whether they're queer or they have kids or not, or they're older or younger, or they like to be outside. Like, we want them to purchase products from us that support how they live rather than like this weird aspirational precious moments life that is not real for any of us, actually.
Yes. Everything, yes. We live in the world, two different worlds, but collectively the same. The world of Amazon, where everything is on demand, quick, I want it, I click it, it's at my door same day, or it's getting to me next day, and I can return it with no restocking fee at any time, and I want to live in this life of like instant gratification. But we also live in the world of Instagram, where everything needs to be strategically placed and oh so perfect, and living in this moment of everything in my life needs to just be like Instagrammable. So the fact is, like, you're bringing beautiful product to the table, but again, it's imperfectly perfect. It's meant to be worn, and if you have, you know, a coffee stain on it when you're cleaning with the napkin, you're like, oops, whatever, but I'm still going to enjoy these. It doesn't have to be like so prim and proper and in a space that you just like can't enjoy and live comfortably within your space and never use your products. So, but let's talk a little bit about, because I feel like I'm gonna have like 8 different segues in my mind where to go. But you have Flourish Foundry. You and Sarah have been working for years of getting into the space, but now you are in the midst of opening an actual brick and mortar and bringing it from your online business now to like in-person shoppable experience. So let's talk about that.
Sure, yeah. So again, kind of the original, I think we never thought that a brick and mortar was achievable. Like we're like, oh, we love the idea of having a space, but like maybe someday, just because it's expensive.
Yes.
Construction costs, leasing, we live in a city that's expensive.
Payroll,
upkeep, all of the above. You know, and it also like there was a sort of a threshold in the last year or so where it became the most real it's ever been. So also like the reality helped, or the potential reality that really felt like we could touch it, you know, made it feel more achievable. But you know, how we were able to even get into a space, you know, coming soon is through the city of Boston. They launched a program with ARPA funds, you know, from the pandemic relief, where they were sort of taking those funds and reinvesting them in small business. So we applied for one of their space grants, which is intended to support new or either new brick and mortars or sort of expansion of brick and mortar for small businesses in order to, one, support small business, but also further activate the city.
Yep.
A lot of things were lost during the pandemic. So long story short, we won the grant. We found out late spring. It was announced last week in the end of July. And so what that grant is going to allow us to do is get the space built out and, you know, help us with essentially like kind of capital costs that, you know, for a small business are really high at the very beginning. And it'll also help us with, you know, actually paying our rent essentially for part of the time as well. So, you know, we can't say where we're going to be yet. That's
no spoilers.
No spoilers. It's coming soon, but we are going to be in the downtown Boston area. Being downtown is so important to us. There's so much potential. A lot of downtown was lost in the 20th century, and there's still this really beautiful part of downtown that exists that was always kind of the destination for this region for shopping, you know, where people would go and they would get to know the people that worked at the different department stores and things. We want to be a little part of that rejuvenation, kind of going back to what was, but in a new way.
Yeah.
You know, also have the space that we can host events and really create relationships with people.
Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, you've lived in Boston for how many years now?
13, 14 years.
Yeah. And obviously it means something super important to you. Otherwise you would have already left at this point. You're like, okay, I did it all, now I'm leaving. So to be able to create an environment here in a city that means so much to you, and to put back into the community is also like amazing. So where you've had this passion to be like, yes, we're going to provide service in Boston, like you mentioned, a lot of the different brands that you're carrying, they're in different markets. So somebody like me, without doing any research, I would have no idea that Felt and Fat existed to even begin with. So the fact that you're bringing it here and you're giving them exposure, you're giving the whole city exposure, and like really building that sense of community, I think is amazing. And while it is sad that people lost their business or something during the pandemic, I think Boston being so creative and giving opportunities for business owners to have a space to give them a great foundation to set on, like we were talking about contractors and the cost between, like all of that alone could bring your business down, because you're like, this is a shit ton of money. Yeah. You know, and it's
it
like,
adds up quick.
It does. Like it's like a CVS receipt. You're just like, it keeps going. It keeps going. So the fact that you've been given this opportunity is literally setting you for a foundation of like long-lasting business in the city, which is incredible. So, you know, Mayor Wu, thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. You're never gonna watch this, but it's really fun. But that's so incredible. So how did you even find out about this grant?
I think just because I'm a nerd.
Okay.
Honestly, like I just follow the city. I mean, I'm you know, really excited by the new administration, you know, that's running the city. I probably was on Instagram or, you know, somewhere in like, actually, you know what, I may have been a Boston Globe article or something, but it's really just because I'm a nerd about city politics. So I was sort of following along and found it and sent it to Sarah, and like immediately, I forget exactly how, I mean, it's been months now, but I think like the next week we basically sat down, we're like, how are we gonna do this?
Yes. And there's probably so many different small businesses that applied for this. So clearly there was something about your business that stuck out to them, that they were just like, they're worthy of being the recipients of this grant because of your mission and what your whole moral standing is on like what you're trying to provide to the city, you know? Because I'm like, how many celebrities, we were talking about the Real Housewives earlier, off camera, but like how many celebrities or just like well-known people, I'm going to start a clothing line, I'm going to do this. Why? There's so many clothing brands out there. Like, what are you doing something that's so different than every other clothing brand out there or every other beauty product out there? What are you doing except for just like an income generator and to put your name on something?
Sure.
That's not the mission for you guys, to just be like, we're going to be rich and famous and we're just going to like, you know, milk everybody in Boston for their money. You're literally coming from a space that you're like, we're doing something intentionally different to inspire people to bring something different to the city than we already have. So that's why you won the grant, you know?
Yes. No, I appreciate that.
Of course.
And it's cool to hear, you know, you not knowing kind of the behind the scenes process, interpreting it that way, because that's definitely what we felt like we were doing.
Yeah.
And we were grateful and like do not take it lightly that the city saw that as well. So we definitely are honored. We're also honored to be among, I think there were 24 total grant winners, received different and various amounts of money, both brand new businesses and kind of businesses that have been around that are expanding. But it's just a really cool group of people, and we're really excited to also collaborate with them in different ways. You know, you'll see that in the next, you know, coming months, I'm sure. But it's just, I guess I never really thought that you could do business this way.
Yeah.
You know, where you're, you know, amongst these, you know, other creative people that are doing things for themselves, but also like uniquely for their own communities, and how that can sort of cross-pollinate ideas. We can support each other in making money and, you know, creating like a really cool network that will, I think, help. I think the result, I guess what I'm trying to say is the result of this, I think, will be a more sustainable way of doing business in this city.
I agree. And it's like, if you didn't have these opportunities to meet these different grant recipients, you would not know that their businesses are out there. You wouldn't know to support them. So as we're talking about your products that you're carrying in your location and on the website of being made by people and like having like important, not mass produced junk that's out there in the age of like really intense consumerism, a la Amazon, you know, to be able to say, oh my goodness, I'm totally going to support your business because I really stand behind that. We have a huge opportunity in this city to create a space for more creative, passionate people.
Totally.
I think there's so many people out here that are so untapped because we don't have the resources for them, because we don't have the opportunities to expose them to the city in ways. Like, we have so many, you know, diverse, intelligent, educated people. How many colleges and universities are in the Boston area?
Yeah.
Hundreds, you know? So it's like, how do we go about really tapping into our community and making the most of it? You know, and one big thing, I have some friends that live in Philadelphia, and they are all members of Rec Philly. And this is a space that you have a membership monthly, and they have podcast rooms. They have other rooms that are soundproof, so if you have a band and you need to be practicing in there, recording something, there's photo shoot rooms, there's cinematography rooms, there's, you know, creative workspaces. So you literally have a collective place where a bunch of creatives are coming together for, you know, their own passions, but and also an opportunity to network people. And forever, since knowing about Rec Philly, I was like, I want to bring something like that to Boston, but how would I even get started on doing that? And it's an affordable membership, so everybody has access to this. This is not like an elitist, like, you think that everybody should have a podcast like I do, right? But like, you know, as I'm, again, recording this on my iPhone, it's very organic, but like, you know, everybody thinks that they need to have a podcast. That's not true. That's not true, right? So I'm like, okay, but like, how do we get other creatives in a space where you can work together and do all of these things? So you having this opportunity of getting to meet these people and know endless networking opportunities, endless ways of just like supporting each other, which is really incredible.
Yeah, and I think whether it's sort of this network of people or sort of interesting, creative kind of ideas that the city is putting forth or that others are putting forth, I think there's certainly opportunity for what you're talking about there. And I think that's what we need to see more of.
Yes.
We can't go back. I mean, there's sort of this old weird, pandemic threshold that we always reference, but I really think that not being able to experience one another and connect, and like we were talking about, a lot of businesses closing, a lot of things just being totally shaken up, has reminded us, and at least for me, like, it gives me a new sort of sense of resolve to do things differently.
Yes.
Both in business and like just as I carry myself through the world.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the pandemic, I think, could have been a turning point for a lot of these people that were part of the program that you got to meet, and especially for you and Sarah, to pivot and learn more about, like, okay, the world is literally shut down. I'm stuck at home. Marcus and I were just talking about the fact of, like, he was working remotely during the pandemic closure, and like his moment of solitude for a few minutes a day was on his porch, and having that ability. And while you're so isolated, you're like, I need to be outside, even if it's just out there. But you also have a lot more to, like, live with yourself and think about things and see the world in a different perspective, because you're like, I'm not living my life to full potential. So a lot of people pivoted, they changed their whole lifestyle or different viewpoints because of the pandemic. So I think there's a lot of things that we can be grateful for that.
Sure. Yeah.
Where a lot of, like, obviously, like, sad things happen, deaths or, depression or things that came with it because of the isolation. It's a moment that you're like, okay, no, we need to continue. Like, we've had this planned for 4 years now. Well, how do we take it to the next step? And what is that next step for us? And how do we continue to create this brand and get our, our mission out there? So I think it's great. It kind of, like, helped pivot you guys and catapult you into this space.
Yeah. I think the relationship with my home certainly helped, like you're saying, sort of change my lifestyle, living a bit more purposefully, again, because we were just here all the time.
Yes.
But as far as Flourish Foundry was concerned, I think the relationship with home, sort of seeing the importance of family, of connection, of all of these things in our own spaces, is really what helped us feel like a brick and mortar location was important. It also helped us kind of formulate how we approached the products as well. And I think even more importantly, that, like, it wants to be a business of creating connections and relationships rather than be purely transactional.
Right.
That of course will exist at the end of the day for some folks, but we want to create a space where people just want to be.
Yes. And I don't picture you thriving in an environment where you're like, next customer, come here to the register. You're like, I want to get to know you.
We're going to be interacting.
How are you going to be using this
Totally.
dish set? Tell me, is this going in your home? Is it a gift? Tell me about it. I want to learn about it. And, and getting to know everybody that's walking in your door, and some more than others, but, like, getting to know how they're going to use the product, like, is fantastic, because you're like, okay, what we are selling is going to be used for a great space, and what you're doing can also provide feedback to give to the vendors for them.
Totally.
Our dish class literally sold out in one weekend, but everybody was asking for sage.
Sure.
Oh, can you make sage ones? So it's like a way that you are able to, like, provide and better a different company through the feedback that you're getting through people and just discovery.
Yeah.
And we were talking about earlier off camera about, transactional centric versus client centric, behaviors and experiences. So to have that more relationship client centric base is going to be sustainable for your business.
Yeah, definitely.
To have, like, be that long term. Yeah. Because then, like, you're going to have new product coming in. You're going to, like, want to share that with the community. And the more they love you, the more they're going to shop with you at the end of the day. So,
And we expect our customers, you don't just, like, make one-time purchase for your home and you're all set. Like,
yes.
Things evolve, you might move, but even just, like, things change over time, and you need to replace things, or you need new things, or you have kids, or, whatever. And we recognize that long-term relationship building, that creating an atmosphere of education and clarity and transparency and connection is going to support us, but also I think it'll support our customers.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, we had some snackies earlier off camera and, you know, some delicious fruits. I mean, fruits, what am I talking about? No. Veggies with some hummus. We had some brie and crackers and all of that. But everything that Marcus just served is on the product that he's selling. So I could be like, this is so cute. I want to buy it. Where'd you get this from? So even just like creating that space, I could just tell somebody, oh, I got it from here, and that's it. But the fact that you said bringing home the point of you're educating them, you're teaching them, you know, what that brand mission is and why it's important and why you're carrying it and all of these things, I think will go a lot further, that people are going to be like, I use it, I love it, it's so great, love this color, got it at this place, go see Marcus and Sarah, they're going to, you know, and just like promoting the business in a sense, you know, I think will... you got to use it to enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
So having that space. I wear these like Frida Kahlo earrings I literally got in an alley because it's very on brand for me. In Wynwood, in Miami, I'm telling you, probably like 5 years ago, every single time I wear them, I get compliments.
Totally,
and they're like, those are so cute. I'm like, feel them, they're so lightweight. Okay, well, so great. This is the company name. It's a sister-owned brand. They're based in Miami. They have an Etsy shop. This is their name. Go explore the collection. Like literally every single person that compliments me, I tell them that whole story about them. Why? I could just say thank you.
True.
I don't want to do that. I want to like promote the business.
Yeah.
So when you guys open your brick and mortar and when I'm going to come and support you, I'm going to be like, oh my God, guys, I'm going to like have a dinner party and I'm going to tell you all of the stuff and I'm going to tell you where you need to buy it and every color it comes in and like, this is why you need to support them because I'm all about that. So just expect on what I will be purchasing. I'll be one of many transactions.
Well, and I think what's cool about like your story with like that product, one, it's like, it's something quirky and interesting.
Yes.
And it's like sort of part of what you, your lifestyle or your kind of brand or your expression of yourself is like cool earrings. Great. And I love that you sort of take that extra time to tell the story behind them. Again, if you had just bought them at a more generic store, maybe the story wouldn't matter, but you like, it was this cool experience behind it. We feel like our makers, so many of them are so passionate about this one thing, whether it's candles or dishware or textiles or, geez, we have people that make soap. I mean, there's just like, and there's so many people that's kind of their passion, that's what they do, and they're obsessed with it. We want to bring those stories to light because one, we think it's a successful way to sell because it's authentic and real.
Yes.
But also it just adds purpose behind everything. And so part of our business model and the experience of Flourish Foundry is also using the space to host events. So picture, like a cocktail making class or, a class where you like learn how to fold your sheets and make the bed, but we're using...
Oh my God, can you teach me how to fold a fitted though?
Yes, we'll definitely do that.
That is like the only thing that really bothers me because I'm so OCD about everything and every towel in my linen closet is folded beautifully. Every sheet set until I get to the fitted and it's just like throw it in.
Yeah.
So
but we want to take like those experiences of just like making your home, but obviously with our products that are made by people with stories and really create interesting experiences for people, so that you're learning about the products, you see why you might spend a little bit more on this sheet set versus something that's more generic at another department store or something. But it also like inherently creates story in the purchasing experience, which then again builds trust. So I could go on and on and on, but that's what you're saying is exactly kind of the environment and kind of the excitement that we want to create behind our brand and our, the experience of Flourish Foundry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the idea of like home, and again, we talked a lot off camera, guys, but just the idea of like being fashion forward or trendy, that's completely opposite of what you intend to do with your brand. Talking about the timelessness and all of that, like we can go out and we can buy houseware is all everywhere at this point. You can go to TJ Maxx, Home Goods, you can go to a more boutique setting, you can, you know, pick and choose what you want to do, but similar to like your clothing choices, your accessory choices, and that being evolving, your home's also evolving. And that's a lot. Like I have friends that just moved recently and are so upset that they don't have every picture hung and nothing's in its place yet. And I'm like, it takes time. Yeah. You build, you discover this new space, you do this. So your home is forever evolving. Just like how you look when you step out of the house, your sanctuary is also forever evolving. So I think, you know, having the opportunity to create this journey with your clients and being able to be like, yes, you just moved recently, welcome to the neighborhood, you're new to Boston, we love that you're here, you know, let's start building your collection and doing that. I moved 2.5 years ago and I realized a lot of what served its purpose in my old space no longer serve its purpose here. Or I want to get these new dining chairs and I want a fun color and let me try this out and do this, and it's a whole different look here. And even now, I've lived there 2.5 years and I'm looking for new floral arrangement ideas and like different things that I can move around and organize and decorate and do all of that. And I will never tire of the space I'm in. So hopefully you have a lot of those people that like are always yearning to like evolve with their space and create something beautiful. So
I think everyone probably is to some extent.
Yes.
Some people talk about it more. Like obviously we're the people that talk about design and those things, but you know, design is really for everybody. I think everyone wants to have a nice home. I just think one, you know, things for the home aren't really marketed towards everyone. And so we want to create something different where we're much more inclusive and conversational and approachable. But also it's scary.
It is.
Because creativity for a lot of people is scary. And you may or may not, and some people may not even realize that like they're being creative when they're putting things together in their home, because they're not maybe a creative person in their work or in their hobbies, but it's not easy. And so I mean, we're not saying we're going to make it perfect and easy for you, but what we are going to do is like demystify and like make you feel like your decisions matter.
Yes.
For your home. And also like maybe pump the brakes a little bit. You don't have to buy I mean, yes, we would love for you to buy all the things for your home from Flourish Foundry, but like it's not like you're going to come in and just like, here's the package box, and then you know everything has its place. It's really important for a home to evolve. And
you need to settle with it and understand what's the purpose of this and how does this fit in the space.
Yeah.
I'm very big, like I am like, you know, the American version of Joy Kondo. No, not Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo.
Yes, I was like, yes, but like, does it spark joy? But like, I'm always big on, does it have a home? I don't want clutter everywhere that I'm like, if I'm entertaining or I'm coming home and I'm like cleaning for the day or whatever I'm doing, that something in my house does not have a home. I am very particular about that. I don't want junk everywhere. So it's like understanding, and again, that's the educational part, not only of the aesthetic, the lifestyle, but like understanding the space that you're in. Like, does this intentionally fit in your space? Or can you create a new space for this? Like, even just looking at the wall that we have right here. I mean, this is like so unique. I'm obsessed with this. But like, you know, Marcus being a designer has thoughtfully curated the artwork and the lighting fixture. By the way, you guys can't see it, but this cord is because there's a light up there. But I never would like think, oh, this is a great solution. I would be like, hide any cords, do this, do that. You know, my brain wouldn't go there, but then seeing this, I'm like, this makes sense. This is amazing. And it's just to bring that space, and especially it's so important of your brick and mortar, you can deliver that. You can bring the inspiration and the vision where online doesn't always translate. Sure. That you can have the beautiful images and you can do all of this stuff, but people need to visualize and be like, oh, I have a space that looks similar to this. Let me, you know, incorporate that into my home. So
and I think that kind of tactile experience is also really important. You know, when we were way back thinking of, you know, doing something a little bit more like box subscription, you know, I think it was always a little difficult for me to visualize how you would get larger products to people, but what always made sense is people need samples. People need like to actually touch and feel the product.
Yes.
And so the physical space, that environment is where people can do that without, you having to make the big purchase. And it's really not a novel idea. Like, people used to shop in real stores, and that was kind of the only way to do it.
Yes.
We're going to perhaps streamline the process and sort of utilize technology, and of course an online shop to really support efficiency, but we still feel like it's incredibly important not to just purchase everything online.
I agree. Well, and becoming removed now, we have fulfillment from the warehouse where I work. Again, it's textiles, so we can't carry everything. We have like 20,000 SKUs in our our network. We don't have a place to host yards and yards and yards or rolls of fabric, and but coming from a retail space, and what was I even just gonna say? I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, but like there's different like client purchasing behaviors and profiles,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
So you have the driver, which they're going to dictate the conversation, and they're going to be, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. Then you're going to have the facilitator. There's like literally like a few different profiles. The facilitator likes it, but they want to learn more about it, and they need that reinforcement from you. And like, so you have to learn how to tailor between the driver and the facilitator. Then you're going to have somebody that's super analytical that wants to read all the reviews about this brand and wants to know like the usage, like the specs, the return on investment. If you're spending $55 on this one particular thing, how many times am I going to use it? And then it's going to be, useful like, I forget the name of it, but like if you use it 10 times, then it's $5.50 each time I use it. If I use it 20, it's this, so like different ways of like thinking about this. So you're going to experience all of these individuals coming into this space and learning how to like navigate them and helping them design their home through the products that you're selling.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like an interesting experience to be coming here, because you're delivering beautiful things, but now you have to have the understanding and education behind all of it, no matter if you have that driver that's going to tell you what they want, or you need to reinforce somebody of like, this is a great fit based on what you told me.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting to see it all come to fruition.
Yeah. A little scary, but in a good way.
What's the scariest part though, do you think?
Of course, just doing things that cost a lot of money is scary. So making a business, but like we said, luckily we have support there, and we feel like we have a good foundation. I think we're challenging what a lot of people are used to. And like, who am I to say that like shopping for everything online and having it delivered overnight isn't the best way to do it? So partially, like, I think probably for both Sarah and I, we like recognize the incredible importance of what we're doing and how like slowing down, being more authentic, and all those things are so important. However, a lot of people may not have patience for that.
Right.
So I think the scary part is of course failure. But I think at the end of the day, we feel like what we're doing is going to tap into something for people that people are searching for.
Yes.
More of an authentic experience, meaning like it's just real. We're real people, and like, if we need to be a bit flexible to get a sale or to build a relationship or do something to support our customers, we'll certainly do that. But at the end of the day, products only come in so fast.
Yes. Yes.
There's certain context and parameters that may or may not allow us to be as flexible as we would like to be. So kind of not knowing how that will work is definitely scary. But like I said, it's scary in a good way, because we didn't just come up with this idea tomorrow, we didn't just come up with this idea yesterday.
Yes.
Rather, like, we are doing what we're doing because of a lot of research, a lot of observation, a lot of conversations, and we feel like I said, people are hungry for something like this.
Yes. And especially like in being in the space of like home, the business of home. Boston doesn't really have this, so like you're saying, there's like this untapped market that you're going to be this niche place that they're going to be like, that's your go-to. That's the spot that you can touch and feel and understand and get it and be able to like afford it and bring it into your home without feeling that you have to hire a designer or have to only shop at big box stores or have to only do things that we have been trained as consumers to do. You're offering a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Yes, are you selling product? Of course. Are you in the business to make money? Yes, but that's not the sole motivator of like why you have a business.
And I feel like anyone can do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, everybody can be transactional of like, yeah, I'm gonna sell merch. Like, how many times my friends are like, oh, you should sell like Antisocial, Socialite t-shirts. I'm like, cool, but like how many people really are gonna buy those? You know what I mean? I have 118 subscribers on YouTube. Are all 118 gonna like make me a millionaire by each buying a t-shirt? No. So I'm like, that's not for me. You know, coming with just merch and like, you know, polluting the world with like creating more t-shirts just to get them out in the world with my logo on it. Like, that's not what I'm passionate about, right? So I'm like, I could make merch. Yeah, cool. But like, what is that getting me? I don't feel any sort of fulfillment out of that, right? But for you and Sarah to have this passion that we're going to fulfill a community need and from a product standpoint need that this area needs, all the needs, you know? Yeah, so yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think there's no like, if you don't take the risk, there's no like being scared about anything. So like, it's a healthy scared. You know what I mean? You're like, we're taking this risk and it's a huge challenge and this is something that like we haven't been in this space together before, but like we're gonna try it out. But you would literally regret this every day of your life if you didn't try this.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? So you would just be like 85 and you're like, oh, remember that time we
should
wanted
have.
to like, yes.
Should have, would have.
Yes, and you just took a huge life change leaving a career that you have been in 10 years to now fully pivoting to be a full-time business owner. So you have been doing this for the last 7+ years with Sarah, also working full-time through an employer, and now you're your own employer. So like even just pivoting from that space is huge. And you're just like, oh shit, I hope I made the right decision. But like you did.
Yeah.
And you have to like lean into that. Like you did make the right decision. I'm getting teary-eyed for you. I'm so excited.
You're so sweet.
But like you made the right decision. But like if the pandemic never happened, if you were just like so comfortable and like I'm gonna coast through my job and like this became more of a hobby than like a full-time like creating a space, like it would not be the space where you're at today.
Yeah. No,
So,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, obviously I enjoyed kind of the last, 15 years, in the commercial design world, both school and at firms and the firm I was at for the last 10 years. Learned an incredible amount and built some incredible relationships with both coworkers, vendors and clients. But I think for me, I always knew that I wanted to have something of my own, not really for me as much as I want to create a company, because eventually we'll hire people and that's going to be so exciting. But I want a company where people just inherently feel like they're not being exploited, like what matters to them matters to us.
Yes.
And we're starting to do that with our vendor relationships and our makers, which is really exciting. But like I said earlier, I never thought business could be done like this. I think we're going to continue to discover how to do business differently and how it can be people-centric and it can still be profitable. And I want to also be very purposeful and also very vocal about that, because I think more and more people are craving that experience. Like if you have to work at a job, make money to live, okay, great.
Cool, but let's enjoy it.
Let's enjoy it.
Yes.
Let's not take advantage of each other. Let's support each other. And I'm excited also by some of the other grant winners that they have a very similar vibe.
Yeah.
So we're just going to vibe it out together.
I love that for you. I love that. Now, being in the design world for over 15 years now, what do you think that is like the key thing that you're going to be taking from there and delivering to your new career? You're like, oh, don't ask me hard
no,
questions.
well, I think
gotta think about.
I think there are two things that are different. One is I found a lot of success with my clients when I was just myself.
Yes.
Like I didn't like a lot, design has this, especially in the commercial, like bigger design world, the publishable design world, if you will,
Yeah.
has this sort of stigma of being fancy and whatever. And I might dress a certain way in order to like, you know, when I go to work or when I have a client presentation, but I was always just authentically myself and would get to know people and ask a lot of questions. And that is something that I found success in, specifically in like boardrooms and with CEOs and like, you know, the scary, like, you know, big names on the doors. And I want to take that into, you know, what I'm doing, both in like working with our makers and our clients, but also as we interact with the larger business world. And then I think more traditionally, something I learned at the very beginning of school and then tested all the way through, you know, working in interior design, is the idea of iteration.
Yeah.
So like, it's not even always a linear path. It almost like, kind of like you're moving forward and it sort of circulates, and then it like needs to recirculate a little bit. And then maybe something is good for a bit, and then the next thing needs to sort of circulate and then go back and be inspired by that other thing. And so the idea of iteration, I think, will help us be nimble. I think it'll help us, you know, be able to respond to customer needs, to employee needs eventually, so that we're not rigid, and we can just be more kind of resilient, you know, in the crazy world of, you know, opening a brick and mortar store in downtown Boston.
I love that. Now, what is the one thing that you don't want to take with you on this journey that has been in your workspace before?
It's expressed in working too much, but I think a lot of designers are very like overwork.
Yes.
I think that's kind of in our culture anyway. I think that the reason people do that is because what we're doing is part of ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a passion. It's, you know, people may or may not have passion for other careers. Designers certainly do. That's why they do
yes.
it. But I don't want to ever exploit my own time and my own mental and emotional and physical health. I don't want to exploit my employees or my makers. And I feel like that's something that's really, unfortunately, a major part of the design industry.
Yes.
And because you feel shame or other related feelings when you don't work enough. But the thing is you could, everything could always get better. The design project could always get more beautiful, or, you know, the spreadsheet could get that much more organized or whatever else. But the idea of, and I don't even think people do it on purpose. I think it just kind of naturally happens because our time as designers is what is billed to them is how a company makes money.
Yes.
So that's obviously not our business model, but also that I want to completely remove that idea of doing business from how I run Flourish Foundry with Sarah.
Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, because I knew that was like along the lines of what your response was going to be, and it's really truthfully like work-life balance, because your life at the moment is your work, you know, but how do you, once you're up and running, create that space of like, I'll have weekends back. I can go to the beach because I want to, because I have the day off, and I can leave the store. I mean, like having a brick and mortar, you have specific set hours, right? But you also have life outside of that.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so you're like, do we have coverage for the store? Are we going to be this? What is this? What is this? And this is like entering a new phase of like, you can't overwork yourself, but you just have to figure out what's like a healthy balance for you. Because if you're burnt out, you're not going to be excited to go into work that day. And you really can't help that because you're the business owner. So you can't just be like,
Yeah.
I got the black lung pop, I'm calling out sick.
Yes.
Like, you're literally the business owner. So you're like, I can't do this. Nor, like, I think that you would want to, like, short Sarah or, like, one of your employees to be like, I'm just not coming in. I don't care about this. I'm overworked. I'm burnt out. So to be able to, like, change the perspective of, like, how business works and knowing your boundaries of like, this is what we're going to do to be like a great, healthy environment for people. But we also need to understand that life happens outside of this space. And we also need to like foster an understanding of like, you can have a life out of here, and we want you to be happy and pursue hobbies and travel and do all of this stuff and enjoy your life. And it makes you happier to come into work, you know? So,
yeah.
But I think the beautiful thing of like what you were talking about is the iteration. Like, I mentioned about the logo changing and all of these things. Like, you two are not waiting for the perfect moment to execute your business. You have literally taken 7 years worth of knowledge and changing and evolving and understanding your business. So when you open this brick and mortar, year 1 is going to be different than year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. You're going to keep learning, understanding your business model, your makers, your team, everything. And each year it's going to get better and better because you have a better understanding about how it is to run the space, who your clients are, what you're offering, you know. So I think that's the beautiful thing, is that you're not, and that's the part of the risk that I was talking about. You're not sitting here and just like, how do I eliminate like all scary risks and just like set myself up? You're like, we have to take it to the next level in order for us to like be where we want to be. You have to, we talked about this, the contractor, like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I want the perfectly like, you know, perfect space that it's going to be fully decorated and everything's on the shelves and all that stuff. In my mind, that's where I want to get there, but how do I actually get there? It's the contractors, it's picking the colors, picking the right fixtures, the floor placement, you know, down to like, are you going to have a rug? And what does that mean? Do we have to now buy a vacuum? And what is that going to cost? And like all of these little things that come into your head. And I've done store openings before, so I know what it's like to be on that side of it and learn how to flex. We ran out of hangers. Okay, so what does that mean? That now visual setup is going to be a little bit different than how I imagined because I ran out of hangers. But what I can do, and alternatively, is create this instead and flex to that. And, you know, or, oh, this broke. This is our one main fixture. Well, how do we work around this? What do we do? Like, we got to send it back to the vendor. They're going to send us a replacement. But what do we do in the meantime? Because the show has to go on. You know, so like you're in these spaces that you're going to have to be quick on your feet and learn that. But I think it's so amazing that like the iteration is, here was like Flourish and Foundry here, and here's where it is. And then like year 3 of being open, you're like, hey, let's go back to this and let's like continue to just like, you know, circularly evolve. But yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's something that like Sarah and I are particularly keen on, is that kind of like we want to be nimble and scrappy, just because I think when you don't allow for that to be part of how you do things, you get a little too cemented into how you do things. And sure, you need a good foundation, but I think a foundation is different than like putting your feet in the concrete and being in that foundation forever.
Yes.
The foundation is underneath you.
Yes.
I think that we have created enough of a foundation to where the scary risks of what we're doing now, it's like, yeah, they're scary, but then it's like there's always there's that foundation where of confidence, of a little bit of capital, of relationships, to where we feel supported.
Yes. It's just that higher level of thinking, because if you didn't have all of that in your perspective, your feet would be in the cement of like, okay, we are the foundation, but like also like we're never going to be like putting our feet on top of it. We're literally going to be stuck in it. So having that idea to just be like, yes, we're going to keep going. We have the support. Now, what do we do with that support? We're going to flourish. That's it. You know, you're going to flourish. So, all right, anything else special that you want to tell us about? Any spoilers? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say very soon, depending on how long it takes you to edit this.
It's like 5 minutes. No, not really, but like this will be out soon. Yes.
We are going to be launching our online shop. Won't tell you exactly what's coming, but it's going to be kind of a limited release in kind of a box format. So you'll have choice. It'll be sort of, you'll be able to curate it to your lifestyle, kind of the elements that are important to you, within the products that we're offering. But again, it's also a way for us to kind of in a really streamlined way start to introduce the makers that we represent to the market. So coming soon, and it's going to be sort of, a way for you to either purchase the items for yourself, really giftable, both in like the corporate and like personal gifts as well. But that will just be the first of many.
I love this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm really ready to just like support you full force,
Thank
and I
you
can't
so
wait for the
much.
space
Yeah.
to open. I'm gonna tell everybody, not just in YouTube world, but like all my friends, and like promote the shit out of you guys
Thank
because
you. We appreciate it.
yes, you need that space.
Yes.
But speaking about promoting, how do we find you guys on social media? What is your website? Tell all the viewers
Of
so they know
course.
where to find you.
Yeah. So our Instagram is just Flourish Foundry. And where else are we? We're our website is flourishandfoundryshop.com. I'm sure we have a TikTok. Sarah's gonna have to tell you that. I'm not in the TikTok world.
Oh,
yet.
we're gonna get you on there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Of course, on Facebook. We're also members of the Massachusetts LGBTQ, or the Massachusetts LGBT Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Boston Chamber of Commerce. So in kind of those realms where you can also find us, which is really exciting. But yes,
I love
that's
this.
where we're at. That's where you can find us.
I'm so excited. Thank you for doing this. One more thing. Did you ever watch Schitt's Creek?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like, is there anything that you learned from like Rose Apothecary, like David's work ethic that you want to take with you?
So, though David seems like he would be really
Is he your
difficult,
inspiration?
he would be really difficult to work with. Well, I love his relentless commitment to quality,
Yes,
and he just had a vision and he was relentless about it.
yes.
Um,
And that's what
and
you're
of
doing.
course, yeah, and of course, like it was challenged, and he like was able to kind of work through it a little bit every once in a while, make little tiny changes, but that like relentless commitment to vision is just really inspiring. So
I love
we're gonna be just as relentless.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Because when you're just talking about like being in this space and like fun, I'm like, low-key, I've always wanted to like go to Rose Apothecary, even though it's an imaginary place. So I'm gonna use you guys as like my living vicariously through Schitt's Creek. I just restarted watching it again for like the 80th time just because it's such a feel-good show. And
Sure,
I'm like,
totally.
yeah. Yes, but yeah.
Yes.
So-
Definitely, he and Patrick are definitely an inspiration.
So like when you talk about events, we're gonna have somebody like play and sing to you.
Let's hope. I'm single.
So let's do it. Matchmaking. Okay, let's figure out like a really cute like artist in the area that can perform for Marcus. Okay, so you guys are gonna work on this. But no, I love it, and I'm excited to see what kind of events that you guys do because I think it's gonna be such creative. Like you said, wine tasting or make your own spices or like not necessarily like a paint night, but like something like that you
Yeah,
can like,
anything that involves sort of like home-related
Yeah.
experiences.
I love this.
Food, dine, hang out, local artisans, etc.
Yes, this is incredible. More to come. You guys make sure you follow him on Instagram, Flourish Foundry. There's no and on the Instagram, right? But flourishandfoundryshop.com for the website. Check it out if you're not in the Boston area for the online shop, and because you guys have to support him, because if you just made it through this hour and 12 minutes
Yes.
and counting, thank God I actually hit record. Imagine if I didn't. We sat here this whole time. I'm like, yes, guys, here's my whole interview, and I forgot to press record. No, but make sure you check him out. Go support him, and when you come to Boston, like, please go and visit because they want the foot traffic. They want to meet people. They want to like know everybody that they're talking to and like learning about their lifestyle. So, thank you for this. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, can I sit on your lap again?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, oh my God, it's like half-assed. We'll see you guys soon.